writing is nothing if not making up stories in your head. And you don't need language to do that. You just need pictures and an imagination, and I always had that. My first internationally published piece is actually a poem. It was published in Macomere, which is a literary journal. But my first published book was The Boy from Willow Bend, published by Macmillan. Joanne Hillhouse is Antiguan and Barbudan to the bone, passionate about literary arts, and a journeying writer who is ever evolving. I like books of fiction especially, but I do all types of writing. I've done playwriting, poetry. As a journalist, I've written nonfiction, and I've also written features and essays and so on. But fiction writing is my first, last, and second, all the loves in between. Calypso was a big influence. The Calypsonians telling the stories of the people in a way that no one else could at the particular time when I was growing up. But the Calypsonians are almost like the court jester who can laugh at the king. In doing so, they weren't just telling jokes. Everything had layers of meaning. And all of that was a template for me. This is how story can exist. They can be the stories that we tell in our authentic language. As we are, we can tell our stories. That's where this story came from, to be a cheetah. One of the beauties of being a writer, living in Antigua, writing Antigua, is that I'm always picking up things, sometimes from people that I don't know walking in the street, and sometimes from people right next to me in the car talking about, I wish I was in Africa so I could be a cheetah. That was my nephew. It's a bedtime story. We're hoping it becomes one of those stories that, read it again, night after night. We want it to be one of those kinds of stories. I don't have children, but I am an aunt, and I've been through that. Read it again, Auntie Joanne. Read it again, Auntie Joanne. This is that book. I want that book to be this, because it's short enough, and it's musical enough, and it's just the bedtime sort of thing, experience that I hope parents and children across the world, not just in the Caribbean, will embrace. I have recently been named the Arts and Letters Laureate for the Anthony and Sabga Award. By whatever the fates have allowed, they decided that I was the winner for this year, 2023. I got the opportunity to see my flag come down the aisle, to hear my anthem played, and to be celebrated not just as an individual writer, but as a writer from Antigua and Barbuda. Today I went for a walk, and I always walk with my notebook and my thing anyway, but just the idea that, well, you don't have to rush back. You can stop to read for a little bit, or you can stop to feel the breeze for a little bit. That's something that this prize, I think, has given me, not to worry so much about lifing, but to not relax to the point where you're not putting the creative back into yourself. You're not continuing to create. I tell stories because I have to. Writing is how I process life. When I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I'm depressed, when I'm joyful, when I'm anything, writing is how I process life. And the opportunity to tell the stories from the space that I come from and have those stories read by people who don't know who I am from Eve, but still appreciate those stories, is a blessing.